Welcome back to Starticus Chats. My name is Alistair from Starticus, and I am chatting with Deborah Lynch from My Mailbox. Deborah, thank you ever so much for being with us today.
It's lovely to be here.
I'm kind of lucky that I've met lots of startups over the last couple of days, and it's really exciting for me to meet with yourself because I don't know too much about your business, and so it's like we're having an initial one-to-one on Zoom, and you're going to tell me everything about what you're doing. So
Yeah,
I'd love to know
brilliant.
what My Mailbox is all about.
Okay, so we started the business last year, and originally the business was set up and we were providing a range of registered office address services and virtual mailboxes for businesses. So as part of that service, we were managing the mail and the parcel handling solutions for a variety of business clients. And very quickly we realised that the process that we were using, from receiving the mail into the building to sorting it to notifying the customers, the whole collection process was really very cumbersome. It was very ineffective, and it wasn't good resources. So that's when we started to have a wee look around and say, look, what is it? What can we do that's going to make this work better for us as a business? And that's when we first came across the smart parcel locker solutions. So how those lockers work is that essentially, so if a courier's coming into the building with a parcel, what he does is he comes up to the locker, he scans his courier barcode, scans the parcel barcode, types in the recipient's name, selects the box size, pops the parcel into the locker, closes the door, and off he goes. And the recipient then just gets an email, text message notification says, parcel's arrived, that's great. And then they get to come and pick it up sort of as a time that sort of suits them. So when we started looking at it, we started realising, look, actually these products are really, really interesting, and the use cases that we were finding for those at that stage were primarily in multi-tenanted residential and commercial buildings.
Yeah.
And for ourselves, even what we're finding was what was available in terms of managing that in the back end of the software really wasn't doing it. It wasn't there, it wasn't cutting it. And we started like, well, look, what could we be using these products for?
Yeah.
So we started to have a look at retail solutions for things like lost and found property, and generally just having a look, because my background would have been from the courier express parcel market. So this was a whole new thing for us. So we started looking at that and started to realise, well, obviously in the last couple of years there's been huge growth in this. And a lot of the courier market, what they talk about now is the last mile delivery costs, obviously, the difficulties in delivering into rural areas, and then obviously we now have the issues with rising fuel costs, everything else. So as a market as a whole, they've started to realise, look, this is not a sustainable solution. So they have started working very rapidly now towards looking at these parcel locker solutions and out-of-home delivery services. So as part of that whole ethos and where that's going, we've started to look at how we can feed in retailers with their e-commerce solutions, with individuals. The products themselves are evolving quite a lot, because what we're looking at now is e-bike charging stations. Even solutions where people can put their laptops, their mobile phone equipment, how that fits in even with some of the eco-friendly solutions. So park and ride facilities, for instance. So we're looking at some of those options now where we put parcel lockers out in site. They're large 70, 80 locker units. Commuter comes along, parks the car in the morning, has his parcels delivered to the locker, comes home in the evening, picks up the locker, and off he goes. So from that we've sort of merged, and we're looking now at some of the retail outlets, some of the large parks, and we've had conversations with them around doing for their retailers, their e-commerce, their click and collect. Because obviously there's a lot of benefits, and a lot of the small retailers have really struggled to manage, and particularly during the pandemic, to manage that click and collect service. And like ourselves, probably coming from that side, what they were finding was, look, people really wanted to be able to come, it's a quick, easy solution, pick up the parcels and their shopping and off they go.
So the actual smart lockers themselves, like, is that something that you're working in partnership with anyone on, or?
We have a sole distributorship with Parcel who are a Spanish company. So they manufacture in Bulgaria. So we have a sole distributorship for Ireland for the hardware. And they're really good guys, and they're doing a lot of product development. So it's really exciting working with them at the minute. So what they have is the actual hardware, the lockers themselves,
Yeah.
and a very basic firmware system. And then where our business have now stepped in, we've started to develop that whole software solution
For
so
sure.
that couriers can feed in, retailers can feed in,
Yeah.
and to have a mobile app for
Yeah.
individuals. So it becomes just a much more fluid
Yeah.
system. And then obviously what we're looking at from the retail site operators is it gives them additional revenue
Yeah.
opportunities. It gives them a maze of sort of maximising the use of those lockers.
Yeah.
They're not a fixed rental, so you don't, you give options of doing them fixed rentals.
Yeah.
You have options of turning them by the day,
Yeah.
the hour.
Yeah.
So it's just that ability to flip that space quite often. So the software development behind that and managing all of those processes has sort of been an interesting journey. So
I mean, like, and how much have you grown over the last, say, like 6, 7, 8 months? Like, have you seen good growth over that period?
So what we've done, we installed a trial unit just before Christmas last year. So since we've done that, we have literally just been trialing that on a small individual basis. And now where we're at is we're just going out onto the market now. So we've been doing initial inquiries in terms of getting those big orders and getting the hardware sales out onto the ground. And the software then itself, we're just at that point now where we're ready to build.
Yeah, brilliant.
We have, as I say, we have the minimum product in that we have the basic firmware. So we can meet the basic requirements and get that on the ground. But in order to really get into some of the bigger spaces, then obviously what we need is that.
So, like, talk to me, like, I mean, sometimes you can have an idea and it be, something that sticks. I'm thinking, like, I know it's a silly analogy, but, like, obviously a sandcastle, for example. Like, you could have a sandcastle and, like, sometimes it holds itself up and other times you might too much, not enough water in it and bam, it falls down. So I just wondered whether, obviously, where you see the business growing in terms of, like, obviously the opportunities for you. Where do you see the most growth, do you think?
It's in the software development because obviously the firmware behind it and the hardware is quite a basic piece of kit.
Yeah.
So really it's the software and that ability to grow that and use that, and it's in terms of individuals.
Yeah.
But as we sort of develop that product now,
Yeah.
the range of use cases are really expanding.
Yeah.
So we've got chilled units, we've got frozen units,
Yeah.
heated units. So things like dark kitchens.
Yeah.
So the software that allows all of these different industries to feed into this is the one that's really going to drive the whole process forward. So not only will we be doing sort of direct sales piece where we will be putting the lockers onto site and selling those, we'll be selling that sort of whole backend software solution.
And obviously the distributor that you mentioned, obviously that you have kind of like obviously that agreement with. Are there other smart lockers out there, obviously, that you could link in with, or does that kind of?
So a lot of the couriers are really they're now buying into solutions. So for instance, Amazon have a range of lockers, and they tend to work with a screenless locker, but it's a very closed network distribution. DHL, they're the same. They have their own locker systems, and what we're finding now increasingly in the noise in the CEP market is they're saying, look, as this market continues to grow and develop, a closed network system it's not going to be enough. It's not going to help everybody meet this demand. So the whole market is now moving very much towards this open-ended distribution. And we actually we have a distribution agreement and a partnership with a fulfillment house based just outside Kilkeel. And so those guys are very keen to get involved and have a look at how they feed in with their couriers and their network, and we start to grow that whole side of the business there as well. So.
Brilliant. And in terms of obviously like the startup ecosystem in Northern Ireland, like what have you been able to tap into so far? I'm thinking of obviously like with the software, maybe like some kind of tech start grant or any proof of concept stuff, or
we actually set up when we first started with the trial locker, we went through and did our Innovate NI. So we got our gold level award with that in I think it was about January time. So that was really good to have that. We've done some basic proof of concept grants. But beyond that, we haven't really approached that. And now we're really at that stage where we're starting to drive all of these things forward.
And like, obviously, what's your impressions of being at DNA, like, obviously, and having a look around?
It's excellent. It's fascinating, obviously, for me because I'm not from that sort of tech background. So it's really exciting. I think everybody's in a bit of a buzz anyway because it's wonderful to get back out and start to meet people face to face. But it's connecting with all those other people that are on the same sort of journey. They know a lot of the pitfalls. You know, when you're sort of coming into this, you're sort of like, I'm not really a tech person. And you struggle with all that. So having people like yourselves having Raise and having all these other guys doing the same thing has been a massive help. So
no, totally.
really
and like
exciting.
obviously the lessons you learn from other founders is immense. And sometimes the mistakes. And the one good thing about here is, not the one good thing, but one of the good things is that everyone wants to kind of help each other. So there's that community, and events like Digital DNA and us putting on the Startup Zone with the sponsors, it kind of allows obviously for that conversation to happen. So like, where would you like to be maybe like 6-12 months down the line? Like
6 to 12 months, by early sort of autumn, we're hoping to have that second phase software development in place, and we're now working actively in proposals in terms of getting the lockers and that next phase of software on the ground to be ready to go. So it's really exciting, really
very
busy.
very exciting. Well, obviously I'd love to like to have another chat, follow up on obviously what you're doing, see where you're at 6 months from now, and obviously if there's anything we can do to help in the short term as well, and get you involved in these types of events as well, that'd be super as well. So thank you ever so much for your time today. That was Starticus Chats. We'll be back in a few minutes with the next interview.